And I said, my dad killed himself and I have no idea how to deal with it.
Oh my Lord, oh my days, I've come a long, long way, and I've been lost in a lonely place. They're recognizing me. Oh my Lord, oh my days, I've come a long, long way.
So good morning. I wanted to start this video by just thanking all of you who have watched the recent videos, who have continued to follow this journey, this new direction, because the amount of support that I've had really has been overwhelming. And I wanted to thank you because the reason why I do these videos is that exact reason. You know, I want to be able to help one of you, a few of you, just by me sharing my personal experiences, just by me documenting this process behind wanting to become a better man. The aim is to help someone, but at the same time, if I'm completely honest with you guys, the truth of it is, it's quite a selfish way for me to actually deal with my emotions as well. Me to be able to deal with how I'm, coping in life, because counseling's expensive and this is like free therapy. Me pulling the camera out and documenting how I feel, what's working for me, what's not. I can look back in this in 5 years' time and it's going to give me a lot of, I'm going to be able to see how I was feeling in every single moment. So it's a little bit selfish as well. This is really helping me. But at the same time, like I say, hopefully this is helping you. But what I want to do in this video today is talk about talking.
So after my dad died, after my dad took his own life, I locked up. I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know how to grieve. And in fact, a week after my dad took his own life, I was there standing in a nightclub with a drink in my hand. And people that knew of me, people who knew of the situation were approaching me and telling me or asking me, am I okay? Being puzzled at why I was standing in this nightclub getting drunk a week after my dad killed himself. And honestly, I pretended for a good amount of time that I was okay. I pretended that I was dealing with it. But really, the truth of the matter is this, I didn't know how to deal with it. For the first year or two after my dad died, I locked up and I chased short-term pleasure. And that constant hunt for short-term pleasure numbed the pain for a short period of time. But very quickly, it caught up with me. There was a time where going out and buying material items, going out clubbing, going out getting drunk, chasing those short-term pleasure, overworking, there was a time where that wasn't enough anymore to numb the pain. And it really hit me. I became depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed most days. I cancelled social events. I felt completely worthless, and to be honest, there was a blurred future. Without my dad, there was no real future in my mind at that period of time. And honestly, locking away the pain of my dad's suicide, it was too much to handle anymore. No short-term pleasure, none of that would handle it anymore. I was about to explode, and it was the worst, darkest period of my life without a shadow of a doubt. But what happened was, I met Amy, who's now my wife. It sounds crazy saying that. I met Amy and we started to date for a little while, and she knew of someone who was going to see this lady, it sounds so weird, going to see this lady to help with her back problems. And at the time I had some back issues, and I got her number. And the reason why I got this lady's number, to be honest with you, looking at it now, is because Amy, my wife, and this other woman was saying, she is weird. She's like a witch. She's this old lady who knows a lot about you. And they just described her as this weird person. And for some reason I was drawn to that. I have no idea why, but I went there. I booked an appointment. Also as well, the other good thing, one of the main reasons is because I tried counseling. I tried, reading some form of books when it comes to depression. I tried the NHS. They tried putting me on antidepressants. I didn't want any of that because of my dad's bad experience with them. And she was just this lady who took donations. She didn't even charge £60 like a lot of counsellors do. She accepted donations. I booked an appointment. I went to see her one day. I walked in and it was dark, and she had these oils that you could choose. She had some music playing in the background. And to be honest, I'd say I was about 20 years old. I was weirded out. I was like, this isn't gonna go to plan. What am I doing here? We got talking. I said, I've got some back problems. I think it's because I sit down too much at work. Maybe it's from my football injuries when I used to play football. I had a massage. I left. She spoke about a chiropractor. We booked an appointment for next week. The week next followed. We started to talk a little bit, not too much, just general stuff. I had a massage. I left, went away. Came back a week later. She sat down and she said, Paul, why are you here? Be honest with me. What's the honest reason why you came to see me? And that's all it took. I was at a really dark period in that moment. I just exploded. Tears came running out of my eyes like I've never ever cried before. And she broke me. She got me to a point where I was then willing to open up. And I said, my dad killed himself and I have no idea how to deal with it. And yeah, that was the moment where I felt okay to open up and talk about my dad's suicide and talk about my grief and how I was feeling, my own depression as well. And, you know, the stress that I was being put under at that moment in time. And it was hard. It was so hard to be able to talk to this lady who I hardly ever knew. But for some reason, she was the only person who I could honestly feel like I could speak to in regards to everything that I needed to say. And as weeks went on, I continued to open up more and more and more. I spoke about my dad. I spoke about how I felt about it. And she would class herself as a holistic therapist. She's very into spirituality, and she would be giving me books, and I would go away and I would read these books. I would come back with questions and questions. And all she made me do was, one, talk about how I was feeling, but also two, question it and dive deeper into it and start to understand and become more self-aware. And her name is Anne, and I still see her today. And Anne also as well helped my mum overcome an alcohol addiction, because again, she did exactly the same thing. She made my mum talk. She made my mum question and become more self-aware about how she felt, and that helped her overcome her addiction. But this video isn't about her. It's about that moment and how that made me feel and why it's so important. And a lot of guys have shared me messages about this. The important part of this is being able to talk, being able to open up, being able to question yourself and become self-aware. Because if you just bury all of this pain, if you just bury your emotions, your grief, your stress, anxiety, whatever it is going through your mind right now, it's going to resurface. It's what happened to my dad. He buried all of that pain. He buried all of those emotions. It resurfaces. It made him break down. It made him so depressed and see no way ahead in life that he took his own life. And it's so common amongst a lot of men now. It's so common. The reason why suicide is the biggest killer of men, I truly believe, is because we fear talking, we fear being open, and we fear questioning ourselves and our beliefs. And honestly, don't be afraid of doing it. The manliest way that I could possibly explain how it made me feel was when I'm sitting on a coach or I'm on a journey going somewhere with my mates. We're getting drunk, we're drinking beer, we're getting absolutely wasted, and you know what it's like. Once you've had a few beers, you need a piss. You're busting for a piss. You cannot stop. That moment when you can stop, you pull down your flies, you have that piss that you've desperately needed. The whole, that's amazing. That feels so good. That is the exact feeling you get when you talk, when you open up, when you express your emotions. It's like a huge weight is lifted off your shoulders. That's the most terrible explanation of it. It's much better than taking a piss after you've held it for so long when you're drinking with your friends. But that's the manliest way and the most normal way I could possibly explain it. But honestly, the hardest thing about talking is actually just doing it, and there is no right or wrong way. You know, counselling might work for you, counselling might not work for you. The main point of this video is just accepting that it's okay to talk, and
it's okay to challenge yourself and become more self-aware and question yourself always. Like, why do I feel like this? Why am I stressed? Why am I not happy? Why do I feel depressed? And like I said, there's no right or wrong way about doing it. You could try one counselor and you might find that doesn't work for you. You might find that opening up to just one of your friends is a good way. You might find opening up to a family member is a good way. You might find just writing it down and sharing it with someone close to you is a good way of you talking about how you feel. You know, opening up to your mates down the pub isn't probably going to be the best environment, but then there's also meetups, events. I run some meetups and events in London where you can come, and I had one, you know, the other week, and we had guys there. Some were talking about normal stuff that guys would normally talk about. We were drinking beer, we were eating burgers, we were talking about football, we were talking about normal stuff, but at the same time, one shared his thoughts on how he became suicidal, one talked about depression, one talked about addictions, one talked about anxiety, one talked about their relationship problems. So it doesn't mean that you have to spend time with your friends down the pub and tell them about all your issues. If that doesn't feel like the right place, there's other places to do it. So look, it's good to talk. It's okay to talk. Accept it. It doesn't make you weak if you open up, if you express how you feel to someone. But like I said, there's no one size fits all. You have to do what's right for you. I've given you some options. I've explained my story. If you want to use the comments in the section below to share how you feel, I will respond to everyone. I'm sure there are other people that can help as well. There's also the free Facebook group that I've created. Feel free to join that. You can join that by clicking the link in the description. But anyway, I hope that me sharing my experience, me sharing this, and just letting you know that it's okay to talk, it's okay to express how you feel, especially as a man. Vulnerability is a sign of strength. It isn't a sign of weakness. Let me know if you enjoy this video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, follow along the journey, and I'll see you all in a video very, very soon.